KSYM, San Antonio College Radio. This is the Urban Suite D Major, Cheryl Metal, DevSoul in the studio with us.
Hey.
We were just about to get into the formation of the band. What year was this?
This was in 2006.
Okay.
I'm like, 2000, that was a long time ago. That was 18 years ago. And again, as we left off when I was previously saying, I was singing background for the amazing Markel and my other musical family in Brown. And when we dispersed, I didn't want to stop singing, like performing live like that. You know, I always compartmentalize all the pieces of performing arts, whether it's theater or R&B, soul, jazz, gospel, whatever. They all hold a different space for me. And so that was really giving me a drive there. And so I remember calling some friends around and saying, hey, I want to put together a band and I just need some musicians. And in my mind, it was just to satisfy me, right? It was just going to be like a couple of gigs, a gig or two.
Right.
And that was going to be it. That was going to be it. I didn't really have any long-term goals with it. It was just something that I wanted to get my fix right quick and move on. And I remember the very first band that I put together was a friend of mine, Kenneth Casey Clark, and my friend Nick Clark, who is in Los Angeles right now playing for John Batiste and Janelle Monáe and all these people.
Okay.
He's out there, and my brother from another mother, Mr. Paul Cockfield. And we did a gig for then Player Made Productions. Y'all remember Player Made?
I remember Player Made, yeah.
Player Made started, they would throw in parties when I was in high school and all this, and they would have all these annual parties, and they would do like Thanksgiving. And I remember it was at the Taste of New Orleans that I was talking to Big Cal, shout out to Calvin, and talking to Big Cal about it, and he was like, hey, well then I want you to come do the Thanksgiving show. I was like, what? I was like, no, wait, I'm not ready. I think my first show was at Flips. Flips was out in the quarry somewhere. That was with the Union with Jock and all of them. We did that out on the patio. It was literally nobody. There was nobody outside. Like, we were under a tree. I will never forget it. That wasn't the first gig, but after that night I did with Paul and them. The other gentlemen weren't available anymore. So Paul was like, I got it. I got you a band, don't worry about it, which was his brother, Rob. And there was a gentleman named Bino from Detroit who was in town playing here locally, and he was on bass. And he was like, just send me the songs. And I was like, well, how many, he's like, just send me the songs. So I sent the songs, and I remember panicking, going to the house, knocking on the door. Where's Paul? I haven't got in touch with him. This show is tomorrow. We haven't rehearsed nothing. And they were like, don't worry about it. But that was the start of a good and bad thing. Me not knowing how gifted they were, and then me having a real bad habit of not having rehearsals over the years. My husband will tell you now.
Oh my God.
He doesn't remember 10 rehearsals over the last 10 years because I'm not used to having to do that because of the level of gifts. If I tell them I want to do a song, I know they'll show up and they will play it exactly like the record. And that's just
And you don't need the rehearsal. You have never needed a rehearsal.
Cut it out.
Nah.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and I'm a big person about the integrity of music, about the records. I like things played a certain way. I'm not too strict on it having to be exactly like the record, but I'm a stay in the original key because I feel like artists make songs like for a reason, the way they want them.
Right.
And it's not my job as a cover artist to come behind them and change their song. Now, yeah, we'll flip it, we'll get creative and have fun, but I like to keep the integrity, the meat and potatoes of the song. Yeah. The framework needs to stay the same. So needless to say, once we started gigging, I started getting calls and it became a thing. And then one of the biggest calls that I could get was from my uncle, Mr. Kirk K-Rock.
Yes.
K-Rock Fraser. K-Rock called for Antro. Club Antro, in the bedroom in Antro. We was doing an Antro. We were at Madison Avenue and Picasso's with the Union. That was a standing gig. I mean, people knew they would come in town every Saturday where they could find us. Well, and it became like this thing. And we were playing for like 4 or 5 hours straight.
Wow.
like
work.
like a DJ.
That's work.
On the other side, like the DJ would be on one side and we'd be in the other room, and we would go just as long as them, you know. And I don't know how I was doing it back then like that, but it was just live and just being random and pulling people out the audience. One thing that I began to notice, and that taught me back then, is about how I treat people when they come up to me. So, for example, I had a young lady come up to me, and I did not remember her. And she was devastated, borderline, mad, like ticked up, like that I didn't remember her, like out of all these thousands of people that I'd already encountered within a year. And so I said, I made a mental note to myself that I would never, ever let anyone know that I did not remember them.
Right.
So
right. You have
every time
to.
somebody comes up to me, and it happened just yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I went to go support my niece, who's, shout out to my niece Naya, who's in the Miss Black San Antonio pageant. And people were coming up to me, and I may have remembered their faces or whatnot, but I hugged them and give them love, and everybody would be like, "You don't know who that was?" I said, "Absolutely not, absolutely not."
Sounds
But
familiar.
I just will never ever be dismissive and make people feel like that, because that's about the connection part for me. So it's beyond the stage. It's beyond the music. Like, you can't just, and that's something that I try to stress to people, man. Y'all trying to say there's a whole psychology to this. And if you want to have longevity in your career and move forward, it's about connection. And I'm real big on that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, y'all, stay tuned. We've got more with DevSoul coming up in our second hour, so don't go anywhere. The second hour of the Urban Suite is coming up next.